Okay. So now we're going on to Cleyra. So I turn this camera around because it's nice to get a good line. It can be kind of hard to angle it otherwise. And I really don't want to mash hard today. Sorry, my stutter steps are going to be shit. I don't really feel like mashing. You want to try and angle it pretty straight like that. Thought I got an encounter then. A little bit of dialogue before we head in. So it's just straight here, and then it's upright on the next screen. Upright, up, upright. Hit this switch. Don't keep mashing because you can activate the switch again. That's bad. This first screen is the worst place to get encounters. If you do so, you have to just flee. You're not prepared to kill anything yet until you've done this chest here. So, this menu is a little bit longer than the rest. It's good fun though. We're going to go optimize, optimize, optimize. Onto Freya's ability, accessories. It's always going to be in slot 2. Dan's always going to be in slot 1. Into abilities. We're going to hit R1, Somniac, up to alert. Then L1 to get back to Freya. R1 to get down to cover. And then R1, L1, right to get back to Mannington nice and quickly. And then finally, front row's done. Now, VV is prepared to Blizzara absolutely everything in one hit. VV is a beast. So, because we're pretty skint on money, the backup that you can take here, again, this one is optional, but it is pretty good, is this ether on the left. You can actually get it without getting any extra checks in this room. I wouldn't bother with it if I had nobles, personally. So, in the notes, it actually asks for us to kill an encounter in Cleyra. It is optional. The way that I have been gauging it personally is that if VV and Zidane's ATBs are equal, I will take VV's ATB and Blizzara it. If Zidane is in a better position, I will take the quick flee. If neither of them have anything, I will probably still end up taking the Blizzara. It helps. It means that you're going to be a higher level for the invasion, and you'll be able to deal with them quicker. So when you're in the Black Magic menu, Blizzara will always be down R1, or R1 down. It will always be in this slot. Nice and easy to get to it. If you underroll and you don't kill these things in one hit, you need to check your equipment because something's gone wrong. These things, they absolutely bleed. Everything here dies in one hit to Blizzara. The only caveats you'll have to know is that if you're fighting against dragonflies, you'll need to make sure that you're using AoE. And if you're fighting against a sand golem, you need to make sure that you target the core. Just proceed through these rooms. Fast forward through this. So you only need to kill one thing. If VV's ATB excels again, I would probably try and get Zidane's flee here. Because, again, Blizzaraing things and killing them is slower. It's always slower than fleeing. We've got the ability points that we want. We've got the experience points that we want. We're not really too hard up on anything else. Killing that would mean that we could hopefully not low roll on a single Cleyra encounter invasion once or something, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because we could just get another encounter where VV's ATB is far better than Zidane's, even still, and then we'd end up taking that one instead. So as for this room, you want to go up and round this path. You can always walk along this if you're not confident. If you see that Zidane's going counterclockwise, you'll always get thrown to the left. If you're getting rotated clockwise, you'll get thrown to the north. There is an argument for grabbing that chest up to the top if you want it, but you don't need it. And finally, we're going to proceed out. Cool. So the trigger that you're looking for here is that when they walk off like this, stop mashing. Stop! Because the next thing you're going to see is this. And you want to say no. You want to say no. If you take the tour, you lose like a minute and a half. Right, so split path. Nobles go right, non-nobles go left. I'll show you both. So we'll go left, and you're going to go forward, and you're going to grab this Thunderglove. Do a little save state here. What's good, PD? If we did get nobles, you're going to go right instead and go up here. And you'll talk to this guy here. You'll buy a partisan, and then down, and then you'll buy the pair of Thundergloves that we're otherwise picking up without nobles. Then you're going to proceed out and through this way, and you'll essentially join back up with the other path we'll go through in a moment. And then you'll head up here. Then they converge. If you don't get nobles again and you're getting Thundergloves, you go this way. You go up this staircase, and you can see how they could sort of converge on each other here. So go up this way. So after you've joined back up, there is a pickup here you need to get. Good luck and have fun. Thanks, mate. You need this. You always pick this Geisel Green up. Don't forget it. Proceeded to the chapel. You want to talk to the guy on the right because it's a little bit quicker. He only has one line of dialogue, right? The other one has like 4 or something. Then we're going to go back the way we came. But we're going to go down past the shop this time. To this center path. Quick bit of dialogue before we get to Antlion. Right. So if Zidane happened to die when you were on the Gizmaluk fight and Freya finished the fight, which I will add is quite rare. Actually, if again, no nobles, grab this. If you did get nobles, you can skip it. Always get it on the way down because you usually get stuck behind the rat anyway. If you got if Zidane died on Gizmaluk, you want to put the yellow scarf on for this encounter, and then we can take it back off afterwards and put the Germanus boots back on with alert. If he didn't die, don't worry, you just run straight in. So this fight is pretty linear. He can stonewall you by killing Vivi pretty quickly, but ultimately there's enough going on, but it's not too hard to execute. So the main way that you're dealing damage here is through Blizzaras. Whenever you use basic attacks against Antlion, he will counterattack you. We avoid using those because when we're ready to finish with a with what would be a physical attack, he's already used Sandstorm by that point and applied blind to us. So going for the physical attack means that you're probably going to whiff, which means that you're probably going to get countered, which means you're probably not going to get your AP. So the way that we mitigate that is we use Lancers with Freya. Because it's technically a spell, it can't miss, and he can't counter it. So Vivi is going to be our main DPS here. If we get a preempt with Vivi, perfect. If not, then not too big a deal. Hopefully, he doesn't use Fire on Vivi. Aha! This one's actually the nuts. So Antlion is an interesting fight because when he uses Sandstorm as sort of like a balancing mechanic, the developers made it so that he skips his next turn. So his ATB flows as normal, but he has to generate an ATB bar and then reset it and then generate another one before he can have a turn. So you can technically use ATB weight strategies with Vivi to gain extra turns. So we're going to use Blizzara, and then we're going to go ahead and queue a Lancer, and then we're going to hold with Zidane, squeeze him through. And then we're going to let it rock here. So we're using this Lancer during this downtime. We'll defend with Vivi Zidane to take that off the stack. And because we would be waiting otherwise, we may as well use the Lancer here. Now, because Antlion has been pushed below, I believe the 50% marker is when he does Sandstorm, he will now use another Sandstorm. When Antlion hits, it's usually turn 3. So usually what happens is Antlion goes first, he does a spell, Vivi does Blizzara, Antlion has a turn, he does a spell, Vivi does Blizzara, and then he'll Sandstorm. That's the outcome that you're going to see more often than not. you won't need to use this ATB weight mechanic on that, but you can do it with Freya instead. So you'd be able to go Lancer, Blizzara, and hold ATB during the Lancer, and then let it flow with the Blizzara, and then if you low roll and low roll and low roll, you can do another Lancer to finish the fight. So then you have this is the second Sandstorm, so this is his second turn. So we're going to do a Blizzara to put in our third Blizzara, and then we'll just queue our second Lancer. We might not need that Lancer, but if we do, then it's over. Cool. So let me just do a save state. And I'm going to load up another fight where we don't get the God ATB. I'll show you what these fights normally look like, because there is a strategy that you can do in case Vivi starts getting targeted as well. So let's see if we can get the Blizzara off. Nice. So we got our first one off. So he's still above 50%, so he's not guaranteed to use Sandstorm yet. If he does, then we can finish the fight early. So he's using Trouble Mucus. So let's, for a moment, pretend that he used Fire and killed Vivi, okay? So Antlion's got like a good chunk of ATB growing here. He's got maybe like a quarter or so. What we want to do is we want to make it so that we resurrect Vivi after Antlion has already decided what he's doing. And the way that we can manipulate that is by letting the ATB grow a little bit in our head, counting to like 3 or 4, queuing a Lancer, and then queuing the Phoenix down. So because we're wasting quite a bit of time here, Antlion's probably just about queued his ability now. And then we pick up Vivi. So this turn, he'll use Fire and it will not target Vivi. See? So you can use that to stop him from being able to damage Vivi over and over again. Yeah, the Trouble Mucus damage, that's pretty good, right? So there is a strategy that you can use there. So if Vivi gets targeted, you can manipulate it so that he can't get targeted twice in a row. You can't stop him from getting targeted on the third turn, but you can stop him from getting targeted twice in a row at least. I am a genius manipulator. I've got everyone doing my bidding. Okay, so then if you're on PSX, there's a nice little break here. Same as PC. Doing all this. This is the text box you're looking for. So Freya will nod, Dan will nod. Run to the bathroom. You've got like a minute and a half, I think. Unfortunately, there is 2 dialogue boxes here, which you have to click through. Yeah? What's the problem, mate? So, there's a lot of dialogue here. Mashing through. So, in this scene, there's a tiny save that you can do. And that is when Dagger says her mother is that really true line, she'll have a little gesture, of course, and then instantly after you get a dialogue option. If you don't believe her, you save about a second. Nice. You also have another little break here. So, if you've got nobles, you don't need to do this next bit because you've already gotten the partisan from the shop. But once again, we haven't got nobles, so we're going to be making an extra little stop. This is the most expensive time-wise detriment you have to make. Also, if you had to use a remedy in Evil Forest, I would recommend just grabbing one here. There is an extra little remedy there. It can mean that you don't have to really worry about picking them up later. When you've got, again, once you've got more of a feel for the game, you can choose to skip it, X, Y, and Z. But I would recommend picking that up in the beginning. So if you don't get nobles, go into this shop. We're going to buy a partisan before we leave. If you've got nobles, you don't need to do this. You've already done this. And then once you left, quick menu. You ideally want to do this before you pick up the rest of your team, because you'll have to do less inputs. Put the partisan on and the yellow scarf. And then you can leave. If you do it after you group up with your friends, then you'll have to like scroll down to select her manually and things like that. So it's a little bit slower. So the next thing we have to do is make a decision. I am not going to do it, but I'm going to show you what you can do. Is when you get to the bottom here, see that chest in the bottom left? That's got a Geisel green in it. We still actually need one more Geisel green for the run. So if you run over to get it, and then leave, you can get an encounter. That's time loss, obviously. Getting it and getting away without the encounter is time save. Because the one that we pick up instead takes a bit longer to do so. But I'll show you where that one is as well. So, during the invasion, if you killed a Cleyra trunk encounter, you will be in a better position. If you didn't, you will have to manage your resources a little bit more effectively. No matter what, as long as both of the guards do not flee, you will still gain the ability points that you need. You can afford to let at least 2 guards escape and still gain the experience that you need as well. At this point in the game, Zidane will not be able to 100% consistently one-shot these guards. You can instead use VV to smack them first and then attack with Zidane, which will then also always kill them. As long as you don't let both of them flee, so don't use like Blizzara at all, that will make them both flee. That will really mess you up. You'll be okay. Freya, as long as you killed something, will always be able to one-bang these guys. But if you haven't, she has, I think, a 25% chance to not kill them. You have to make your own decisions at some point. As a new runner on PC, you force an encounter to make things easier. Yep, there's nothing wrong with that. So with these ATBs, so there are 2 paths that you can take here. I've got max ATB on Zidane and max ATB on Vivi. This is another one of those situations where there is, until I know what their ATBs are, there isn't really a correct answer. So my options here is I can attack with Zidane, and then Blizzara the other one with Vivi. It guarantees that the fight ends within a specific amount of time. I can choose to attack one with Vivi and then attack the same one with Zidane to ensure that it dies. Or I can attack one with Zidane and attack one with Freya for the best possible outcome. If they have a turn anywhere in there, if they use a basic attack, then I lose the least amount of time. If they go ahead and cast Blizzara, I lose the most amount of time. You can't know. You can't know. You have to decide how much of a risk you're willing to take with these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the safest route right now. I'm going to switch to VV, basic attack one, and then finish it off with Zidane, and then have Freya kill the other one. So one of them got in front of us, you see that? So this ended up being pretty much the best outcome. You want to keep an eye on your HP values as well. So Zidane took a little bit of damage there, but he's still okay. He can still take quite a bit of damage without going down. But if he gets targeted again, I'm probably going to need to heal him. So because Zidane's ATB is so good here, I'm going to check to see if they're having a turn and just send him in. And he was able to high roll, fortunately. And this one got in front of us, but that's okay. Freya's going to finish them off. You want to try and avoid using VV as frequently as possible. VV is just time loss, unfortunately. He is very slow. Yeah, I'm talking about movement where it's relevant. In fact, right here. So when you get to around here on the screen, it's going to cause a random battle. Not a random battle, a forced encounter. What you can do to force it a little bit earlier is hold down right and bring it in. And that kind of splits the room a little bit more evenly, so you get even amount of checks on both sides. So, gonna queue Freya straight away on the one that hasn't attacked yet. See if she gets the turn in. So she's not. So what we can opt to do here is we know that Zidane's still level 8. If we want to guarantee that we kill the one on the left, we can use the fact that Freya has to still swing to allow Vivi to gain some ATB. We'll lose maybe 3 or 4 seconds in doing so, but we can guarantee that we get the kill and we get the experience points that we want. Again, it's a risk that you can choose to take or not. So because Zidane is like comfortably below like 120 HP here, which means that he can just die to a lot of things. I'm going to go ahead and use some high potions. Yeah, Cleyra experience does matter more. Honestly, so I had a run the other day where Freya didn't make level 24 at the end of the run where she really wants to be. Luckily for me, I was on a rebirthless route. So she didn't need all of her stones in that route. If I was not running, if I'd actually won the card tournament and I needed to equip the rebirth ability, I would have had to have managed my menus manually in order to unequip and re-equip certain abilities at certain times, and probably sacrifice some in certain situations to make it work, because she didn't hit the level she needed, and she was out by 130 experience points. At level 24, hang on, let me have a quick look. You need, got all the level values here. To get to level 24, you need 30,786. I was missing 130, which is about how much experience you get from these fights. Just saying. The experience is very, 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 very carefully crafted. You can let 2 get away. You can let 2 get away. But I think if you let 2 get away and don't take a trunk encounter, you end up on 24. At which point you have to like find some extra somewhere. Oh, nice. Okay. So it's always a good idea to wait with Zidane on these fights, just in case you get a shitload of misses. You're protecting yourself against too many bad rolls, things like that. So you just hold up to get into the next fight. Normally, this is the ideal place to heal, just after that fight, but more often than not, you'll need to heal before you get this far in. Look at the draw. So, gonna get Zidane in on one of them. We hold with Freya here, wait for Zidane's turn to end, check. So we're checking there to see which ones are actually having their turn. And because you want to try and steal turns from them, that's the idea. Stopping them from having turns is the most important thing that you can do. So in this scenario, I'm going to check to see if he's having his turn. And I would just go ahead and just make sure that he doesn't take it. It was very, very close. I may have been able to get away with that, but the worst thing that you can do is just queue a VV ability and then have to watch them cast before you cast back on them. That's a big time loss. Try to avoid those scenarios. So during the Cleyra invasion, this is actually quite important. Right here, you need to make sure you pick option 2. So I mash through all this, Zan does this, and you get a double text box, X once, into no. Head right. Be very careful. You have an opportunity to heal here if you need to. On PC, you need to do a menu here, actually. This one's option 1, so just mash as hard as you can. Okay, so in these encounters, it's always worth noting that the one that you want to kill first is the guy in the middle. Because he only casts, or he has a much higher chance of casting. So the Zaroing here is quite bad. That actually could have been handled a bit better by myself if I'd actually chosen to let ATB rock a little bit more. I could have gotten a weight off on Zidane. So the optimal way to deal with those encounters is actually to have Zidane go first, have him essentially wait against one, so kill one and then wait another one, and then Freya pick out the other one. So because we killed a Cleyra encounter, we can pick option 3. If you don't kill a Cleyra encounter, pick option 2. It gives you an extra ability point that you really need. This is kind of the ideal scenario. So in this encounter, we want VV to die. Some people will say, oh, he only needs to be in critical. But if you have had guards flee, for example, then you need to not funnel any experience onto him. You need to make sure that all the experience goes onto Freya and Zidane. Because VV isn't in critical here, unless they put him into critical for me, I'm going to take one of them out. They're probably going to get their turn here. There she goes. Yeah, I'm just going to kill him off. Now Freya finish up. And the reason why is going to become apparent in a moment. Cool, so it's option 1 there. It doesn't really matter what you pick. And just a chunk of dialogue here. Or Beatrix comes and fucks our shit. So the Beatrix fight is pretty straightforward. There's some rules that you can follow. You don't have to count damage. It's advisable. You want to pick up everything on the left side, especially if you're playing on PC. The way I like to manage this menu here is that I start by using the potions to make sure that I don't accidentally potion VV. And then I R1 down, and I haven't got any ethers. Oh, they're down there, look. So more often than not, the ethers will end up on the second page, but they're down there today. You can opt to arrange. If you do arrange, you'll put your ethers at the top of the page, but you will move your Phoenix Downs from the 3rd slot in your inventory to the first R1 slot. And I've got muscle memory to keep them on the 3rd slot now. So if you optimize, you'll actually move where your Phoenix Downs end up. So keep that in mind when you choose what you do in this menu. After you've done that, so actually let me explain another detail on this. You only need to ether VV if he has underneath 48 MP. If he has at least 48 MP, you don't need to ether him. If he's on 47 or less, it is advisable that you ether him, because you need to be able to cast Blizzara a 4th time sometimes. It gives you protection. If you can't cast Blizzara 4 times, sometimes it will get you killed. Very rarely, but it's worth it. Trust me. You then need to do an equipment menu. It's just the first item for Zidane's shirt, and then the coral ring for Freya. So the reason why we wanted Freya dead, not Freya, sorry, VV, is because having him in critical means that Freya's cover ability is going to protect him. Freya plays a role like what Zidane was doing in the Beatrix 1 fight, where she is going to be covering him while using the coral ring. So she'll be able to very easily tank the basic attacks, and she'll also be able to absorb all the lightning damage nice and comfortably. So I'm gonna count damage. I would highly recommend counting damage in this encounter. So the ideal turn order in this encounter is that you're going to go Vivi Blizzara, followed by Zidane attack, followed by Freya attack. That's the ideal order. Freya and Zidane are interchangeable. They're not too relevant. Zidane is slightly faster than Freya, so you could save a couple frames, but it's not worth like changing the characters over. It's not worth it. The reason why we're doing this is because we're using their attacks to buffer Vivi into the next turn. Beatrix is incredibly fast. She will take her turns back to back if you let her. You have to use your character's turns in order to allow other characters to have their turns. When Beatrix goes underneath 50% HP, so 2,368, apparently, the next time that she queues an attack, she will instead queue Cure. Cura is what she casts in Beatrix 3. This one is Cure. It heals her for 700, which is a little bit less than what Vivi deals here. But the Cure animation is a guaranteed cast. It means that you have to deal more damage to her. So it slows the fight down a little bit and is a little bit less than ideal. Sometimes it's a blessing. It means that you can actually bring all of your party members back in line and allow yourself to get back into the fight, so you can use it to recover from a bad series of turns. But it usually means that you're not having a very good fight. That's what it is. So the idea, what you're going to be doing is going Blizzara, attack, attack. She'll have a turn. Blizzara, attack. You'll have a turn, and then Blizzara attack is usually what you're going to be getting. The absolute optimal is that you get Blizzara attack attack, followed by Blizzara attack, and then attack attack. But you don't see that one very often. So we'll run into the fight now and we'll see what we get. If you get any preemptives, you can take them. But I'm not going to take a preemptive Vivi. Oh my goodness. So with this ATB, you can see that Zidane's barely got 50%. So he's not actually going to be able to get in this turn at all. So I'm not going to queue him this turn. Queuing him this turn means that he will end up, if he lives, going first on turn 2 and is not ideal. We'd rather have as full information about what she's doing on turn 2 before we commit to a turn. So I'm going to take the Blizzara and I'm going to take the swing. A74 585 Thunder Slash. Okay, so now we can use this turn now to make up the damage that we missed out on. Another secondary reason why it's really important that V goes first is, once again, because she's so fast, before she takes the damage from Blizzara, because it takes, in essence, so long for the animation to go through and deal damage, she'll actually have already gained ATB to have a turn, decided what she's going to do, and commit to that next turn. So it's the way that you push her beneath 50% while making sure that she doesn't use Cure, sorry. So we'll go Blizzara, swing, swing. Nuts, mate. So she's going to get pushed way below 50% here. But she's not going to attack us. She's not going to use Cure. 585. So she's got 1100 left. So if she does a slow move, like Thunder Slash. So she's killed him, unfortunately. So what we can do is we can send Freya in first here. And the reason why is because if she criticals or misses, nice. So we're not going to have lethal this turn anymore because Freya's useless. But we're going to bring her really close. So she will use Cure here. She's got 800 HP. So I guess I'll just swing because we're waiting for Vivi anyway. No critical, so we'll have to use Blizzara to finish. And that was our fourth Blizzara. So if we didn't Ether Vivi, we could be dead here.